Right, my guest today is a podcaster who's been going for about 6-7 years now. He's here to tell us about it. This is Daren Stratton here. So, hello, Daren. How are you doing?
Hi, Jamie. It's great to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Tell us more about your podcast.
Yes, the Daren Stratton podcast show. I started it in December 2009. It's an interesting one because I was at Chichester College at the time, and I thought to myself, what would be the idea of me starting a podcast show? I've been looking at them, and I just downloaded a bit of software for my laptop as well. It was Wildbean Studio. I was running Windows XP at the time, and I just experimented with it, came up with a voice jingle, and that's how it stuck, and it's been going ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the subject of your podcast?
It's just anything in general. It's, the first thing that I did at this for Series 1, because I'm on Series 22 at the moment, the first block of episodes that I did for it was just mainly audio and general topics. I had a couple of guest appearances as well.
Yeah.
And it was just, as I say, just general topics. I took Eddie Goulding's Starry Eyed and tweaked about with it a bit. Just done an analysis of that song. I liked it, liked the song. I just thought to myself, no, maybe perhaps I shouldn't have butchered it.
Well, that's what happens. That's the fun of audio, isn't it? But
definitely.
But obviously, by the way, we are in the discussion round. We're discussing Daren's podcast. Obviously, you're on Series 22. How many episodes are there per series?
It depends. This one's going to have 325 by the time I'm finished with it.
Really? What, per series? That's
that one.
Yeah, that is incredible. What makes you want to keep doing it?
It's that drive that I've got. I've recently completed my master's degree and did a database of all my podcasts. I did Series 18 in the background because that's where I was, and put it all together in a catalogue of databases and worked on that. And I passed a dissertation, which then gave me that powerful enough drive to keep on going with it.
Well, of course, yeah. And how would someone be able to get hold of this podcast?
It's on YouTube.
Oh, is it YouTube? I do know of a few people that do YouTube and that submit their podcasts on there. You said you had guests. I mean, what kind of guests have you had in the past?
Just those in general. My first guest appearance happened to be my stepmother.
Yeah.
that was funny. It was very funny, and keep tuned for the upcoming series I'm working on. I'm going to be doing a revisiting of places in the south of England, taking different modes of transport. It's going to be brilliant. And
yeah, that sounds interesting. What kind of places have you visited?
Just those in the south of England, really. So Portsmouth. I've recently gone to Guildford, and Series 9 has me going all over the UK. So I went to Edinburgh, Glasgow, and went to the Midlands and everywhere else.
Yeah, and do you find travel difficult?
Not really.
No? Do you find different kind of situations difficult in that sense?
I can do. It depends on the circumstance itself.
Yeah, but it's really interesting. Do you record while you're on the transport?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Have you ever had anything happen which is a little bit unusual while you've been recording?
Yeah, I got lost in a familiar place.
Okay, how does that happen?
I was just, I think I'd say, got myself sidetracked. The place where I found myself getting lost was in Worthing.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. I think many people have got lost in Worthing, especially from the train station. I mean, the train station is about 4 miles away from the town, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 3 of them as well.
Yeah, but that's right. Yeah, because there's Goring.
No, there's West Worthing,
Oh, of course.
Worthing, East Worthing.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, 3 of those.
Yeah, and there's another 2 or 3 other stations, isn't there?
Just on the outside, don't go to Darrington-on-Sea.
Why?
Well, it might have changed since then, but when I did a train project in 2009, it was grim as anything. It was branded by the locals as the grimmest stop in the south, but I just, at this point, would like to try and refute that, because it may well have changed since then. Last time I've been through on my travels, they were building houses there, and it's now starting to show some potential. But as I say, when I went, half the shops were closed down, and it's just a shame to see a place go down to the dumps like that, particularly when it shows potential.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's improved by now. I mean, certainly Goring is a place which is quite, there's lots of different shops and different bits and pieces, and Darrington and Goring are not that far away from each other.
No, I'm surprised with the proximity from each other, how close they are. But the one thing I was confused about was the railway stations, because you get Goring by Sea first,
Yeah.
and then as you go through, you then get Darrington-on-Sea.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I can't believe we're talking about different train stops, but it is interesting that Worthing has got about 5 train stops in Hull,
Yeah.
or more. I mean, there's probably some more that I'm forgetting. And of course, as you go further along, you've got Shoreham as well, which is obviously much further along.
Yeah, the station between that's Lancing, and Lancing it's got short platforms, literally. I was on an 8-coach train going to London, and the platforms in Lancing are that short, you can only fit 4 coaches.
Right. So, do you ever get confused if you ever sort of gone on sort of coach number 7 and you're supposed to be on the front 4 coaches?
I've never got off at Lancing on an 8-coach train before.
Yeah. So, but anywhere have you?
I did get confused once when I was sat at the back, towards the back of a 12-coach train, and Emsworth can only fit 7 coaches.
Yeah, it's. I've not been to Emsworth. Is there anything up there? That sounds really bad.
My old school was there. My old secondary school was there. I used to go to Glenwood School. It was in Cowplain for a while, and now it's in Emsworth. It has been since 1998.
Yeah, I'm noticing there's a lot of, you're storing a lot of information about all these different places and different stops. Do you find that you're quite good at remembering things?
Yeah, it's just depending. I mean, I've been on the Southampton or Brighton route more times than I've had hot dinners.
Yeah,
it's that sort of thing that just, as it clicks, it just. But of course, some of the trains, if not all of the trains, skip stations.
Really, yeah, because obviously you've got a fast train and slightly slower train that goes to all these different other stations.
And then you've got stopping as well.
Yeah. I'll get onto the memory point in a minute, what I was thinking. But obviously there's been this thing about request stops on TV recently. Have you ever stopped at a request stop anywhere?
No. Dilton Marsh is a request stop.
Right, where's that?
That is in Dorset, just off. I was trying to think. It's between Warminster and Westbury.
Yeah, well, you've got off there.
I've been meaning to get off there, but half of the Great Western Railway trains don't call there because it's only a request stop.
Well, that's fair enough because you've got a request to get off it. Yeah, the memory point. Obviously, you have all this information that seems to be stored there. When you're doing your podcast, do you write anything down?
No.
No, really.
None at all. Nothing. It just all flows out. It just all flows.
Yeah, like this conversation, which is fantastic. I will just check the thing. Yep.
Not only mentioning I've never used Microsoft Encarta before, and I've been able to, not only am I teaching the audience something new, I'm also learning myself. That's the magical process of doing a computing series.
Yeah. Obviously, you must have studied computing to have that amount of knowledge?
My first computer was my first ever computer. My first ever desktop computer had Windows 95 on it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. That was fun. Do you ever go back and play with anything like that?
That's what Series 22 is doing right now.
Really, you're sort of going back and looking at that. That's interesting.
At the moment, I'm looking at the different versions of Opera Browser. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, that was the browser that was built into the Wii, wasn't it, about 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was
kind of its most popular use, I think.
Give you a bit of background information from that. You know that Opera is free at the moment. It's free for all the users.
Yeah.
But it hasn't always been.
No, I would imagine it's been a paid.
It was a paid subscription. It was version 4. I had a quick look. I took a quick butcher's at it, and it would cost you $39.
That's quite a lot for an internet browser.
And I couldn't remember what the third one was, but the fourth one was $39, as from what I can remember. The fifth one was free, and I think it has been from since then.
Yeah, so obviously you're going through the browsers. Are you going to get to Internet Explorer at any time, or have you already done it?
I've already covered that in the general analysis of Windows itself.
Oh, have you? Oh, well, I suppose so. It's called Edge now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you still get Internet Explorer 11 with Windows 10. It's just that you then get Microsoft Edge integrated into that, and I think it's a lot more secure than Internet Explorer, but I never used. I hardly ever use it. I'm more of a Chrome guy, but I have given Edge a go, and I have liked what I've seen.
Yeah, I think most people, myself included, use Chrome anyway because it's just fast.
Yeah, we're on version 42 with Chrome.
Yeah,
I think we're a bit further than that.
I would imagine so. Right, that is the discussion round. We'll move on now to the tell me about round. Normally I'd give 30 seconds, but I haven't brought a timer with me. So instead, I will just ask you just to talk for perhaps about 30 seconds or so about a specific subject. I haven't given you any subjects in advance, of course, but we might have already touched upon it. Okay, so with the first subject, we'll do 3 subjects, the first of which is Windows 95. Tell us something about Windows 95 starting now.
Yeah, so Windows 95 was released in 1995, and the beta name of it was Chicago. Beforehand, before it was called the recycle bin, it was called the wastebasket. That was a 1993 release. I cannot remember when it was. I think it was November. Other than that, it's just been recycling bin, and we have just a couple hundred meg use out of it. And it's more advanced. You've got a start menu, whereas previous you had program manager.
Yeah, well, that's the first subject. That's very well. See, off the top of the head thing. You see, it's doing the thing from the podcast. So let me, let me do something a little bit more topical. We'll do the second subject, which is the Southern Railway. So tell me something about the Southern Railway starting now.
Yeah, so the first, there were 2 railway stations in Hampshire that are managed by Southern. They're Warblington and Emsworth. But they're mainly generated in Sussex, so the more Sussex way. The first one being Southbourne. We've just recently, you've heard of Gatwick Airport. That was first managed by Network Rail. That's now managed by Southern.
Yeah.
Has been since 2012.
Yeah, there we are. That's the second subject. It amazes me how you can do it off the top of your head like that. People often say that about me as well. But let's do the third subject, which is completely out of nowhere, because I'm still formulating it as we speak. Tell me something about public transport.
Yeah, there's buses, there's trains. There's a South West Trains train that runs to London from Portsmouth. And we've got Southern that goes from Portsmouth, and he runs up to as far as Southampton. And with South West Trains, you go to as far as Exeter. Or we've even had one go to Bristol.
Yeah. So have you been to Exeter?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I got lost there.
I've been twice. I got off once and been through it to go to Plymouth.
Why? What is the purpose of going to all these different places, or is it just a visit?
It was not only just a visit. It's just not been there before, but I just wanted to go somewhere that I could cover that's just not in the south of England, just out of my comfort zone, really.
Yeah, and do you like doing that, challenging yourself to go somewhere completely new?
I love it. Absolutely.
That is fantastic. That I wouldn't even think about going to all these different places, and certainly Plymouth. I mean, what's in Plymouth?
Well, that's where I first came across the Apple shop.
Really, there's quite a few of those around, isn't there? There's one in Brighton.
There's one in Southampton. There's one in Guildford.
And have you been to all of the Apple shops along the?
I've been to the one in Southampton. I've not been to the one in Guildford. I've been to the one in Plymouth, and I've been to the one in Brighton as well.
Yeah, so you do a lot of travelling, which amazes me. The obviously the you live just outside of Portsmouth. Is that where you're from, or is that just where you've decided to?
I was born in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
St Mary's Hospital.
And do you think that Portsmouth is quite a historic place, isn't it?
Well, for one, we've got HMS Warrior. Been around since 1860, I think.
Yeah, and there's lots of museums and things. Obviously, that's where the Mary Rose is as well.
Yeah, that was 1863.
Yeah, well, it's a bit earlier than that, isn't it?
Yeah, you could be right.
Yeah, and that's 1600 or something, isn't it?
But I think it was 1863 when it was sighted in Portsmouth.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah, you mean under the water?
But it's come to the surface.
Yeah.
It's been reimagined, so the public can go through it and see the. I think the HMS, I think it's Mary Rose. It's those type of ships are now more likely to be a museum.
Yeah.
But based in the water.
And do you think that's important to have those things on show?
Absolutely.
Just for the historical element, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we can add definitely add some historical values to Portsmouth.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Have you been to Chichester very much?
I used to go to college.
You went to college, of course
Chichester
you did.
College.
Yeah. Sorry, I skipped that college. I went to a different one, but I did come to the university. What was your experience of the college?
I enjoyed it. It's got support. Picked up the Mike Pearson Award because of my knowledge of the trains.
Yeah. And what was the Mike Pearson Award?
It was just. I was trying to think. It was about. It's been a while since I got it. It was in 2013 that I got it.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's just mainly based off my memory.
Yeah, but it's fantastic, really, that that you went to try. Did you travel to and from Portsmouth every day to do that?
I used to live in Hayling Island.
Right.
And I used to travel from Hayling Island.
Which I suppose would be kind of the start of all your train travel, because you'd get quite used to it by then.
Indeed. When I did the Southern Project in 2009, it was. I started off in Angmering because I did everything alphabetically. I still did. So I'd then just do it along the route, but then list it alphabetically.
Yeah. So, have you done the alphabet, or are you still working through it?
I did the alphabet. I couldn't think of many places to cover for specific letters.
No, Z's a bit of a problem.
Z's a bit of a problem,
Yeah.
unless you include something with the Z in its station code.
I suppose, yeah.
So for one, Penzance.
Well, that makes sense. Have you been down there?
Yes.
You have been down there.
I've been to Penzance.
Yeah, it's beautiful down in Cornwall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 10 miles away from Land's End, and I'm considering doing the Land's End to John O'Groats walk.
Oh, are you? Do you know how many miles that is?
Well, my route would be 920.
That's quite a lot. I mean, obviously you use a lot of public transport. Do you do a lot of walking?
I used to walk from, when I was younger, I used to walk from Lee Park to Southbourne and back.
Right, so you're obviously used to that.
Definitely.
That is fantastic. By the way, we're on the third round. We should be on the third round anyway. But I'm just having such a great time, sort of just discussing things with you. So really, we say, well, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? You know, what are you thinking about?
Don't get me started. I've got so much I can talk about. I've recently completed the Now That's What I Call Music album collection. I've got all 93 volumes.
Really? Wow, that's fantastic. I do a lot of collecting. Obviously, when I used to do music radio, those albums are fantastic for not just the hits, but the weird ones, the really strange ones.
I've just been listening to French Kiss by Lil Louis. It was a bit, it's on Now 16. It's, how can I put it? It's a bit erotic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is that, when you say you've collected them all, is that in different formats?
Well, the first 10 are on tape, including number 15. Otherwise, the 15th volume would have cost me 70 quid if I got it on double disc.
Yeah.
But then I got it on tape and it cost me £4.49.
Well, that's fine. There must be a lot of those on tape because they're great for the car. Even now, you know, they're great for the car if you've got a tape player.
Yeah, they stopped at 63, unfortunately, on tape.
Oh, I can imagine, because 64 is one of the best nows there is. It's fantastic.
That's got the Zootons on it, Valerie.
Yeah, that's quite, and was it The Feeling as well?
It's
all very
Zone, I think.
Yeah, it's very kind of guitar-y on that particular. I think Chasing Cars is on that one as well. But there's quite a few. Sorry, I know a little bit about the Now albums. I've studied them a little bit because they are interesting. What do you think they say about popular music?
Well, the fastest selling album of this year so far has been Now 93.
I can see that, and obviously there have been the occasions on those albums where songs have been put on there which they obviously thought when planning them that they were going to be hits, and then obviously they just get put on there anyway, and they weren't hits at all.
No.
The one that springs to mind is The Feeling and Turn It Up, I think, which is kind of stalled.
What one was that on that? What album was that on?
That was on one of the 60s, I think, somewhere.
I think it most likely be 65 or 66.
I think so. It was on one of those, and it certainly it wasn't a hit at all, but it just happens to be on there, and there are a few kind of minor hits on those things.
Generally, the Now music then covers you up to the top 30. Because I remember, if you look at Now 5, in particular, it says top 30. So 30 top 30 hits.
Yeah. Well, that's, I suppose, you know, it must have gone down by now. It must be like top 20 now. Unless they can't get the rights to something. I mean, obviously on some of those albums there are shocking omissions. I mean, I think some of the Taylor Swift tracks don't end up on those albums.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought This Love by Maroon 5 would have ended up on a Now album, but it wasn't.
No, She Will Be Loved did, though.
That's on Now 59.
Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. That's do you know those albums off by heart?
I've looked through my music collection I've got on my phone.
I see. Yeah, but you knew that was on that particular one right now.
That's on, 59. No, it's my dad used to own that album.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, you enjoy those albums because they have such a wide variety of things. Do you think the earlier ones are better?
I've been listening to Kajagoogoo, which I don't know whether or not you saw my latest.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely some nostalgia to be listening to something from 1983. It's just... And Bonnie Tyler only appeared on there once throughout the whole series.
Really? Do you know which track that was?
It was Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Was it? Well,
the first one.
That makes sense. And obviously, you know, you buy the Now albums, you've got all 93 of them, but do you ever buy any of the other weird compilation-y things that they release?
I've done I've started on the Millennium series from 1980 to 1999.
Yeah.
I've got 6 of those.
And interestingly, I've always wondered, are there tracks on there that weren't originally on Now albums, or are they literally just cherry-picked?
I think it just depends on the album. Excuse me. Well, there's obviously going to be stuff from 80 to 82 that's never made it onto a Now album. But surprisingly enough, American Pie made it onto a Now album. The full version of it.
Which is quite long. It's about 8 minutes long.
You're talking about 8.5 minutes. And that made it onto a Now album.
Do you know what the longest track is?
I think it was that one.
Would that be the longest?
That would be the longest.
I would imagine so. It is really fascinating, actually, to see interest in that because of the popular music. Have you started on the other one, or is it the Hits series? You started on that one?
No.
No? Any interest in starting on that one?
I don't even know where we are, or if I can get any of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
I think it started the same time as the Now Music.
I think so, and they stopped them. They stopped them about 5 years ago. So they're literally, I think there's only like 60 of them or something.
Yeah, I think the 57th one was 2004.
Yeah.
I think it was. Unless I'm getting that from when Now 57 was released, which was 2004.
Yeah, that is amazing, and it's good actually to see that they still have relevance even after they've been released. Certainly, because they capture a period in time. It's a bit like the Smash Hit series, if you've ever heard any of those.
Oh, I remember those. They stopped a while back.
They do.
I think the last album was 2001.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. I mean, I remember I used to sit down and watch Top of the Pops. And
you'd have a lot of those tracks on there.
Yeah, and that stopped in 2006.
Yeah, that's right. I'm loving this thing for dates and things. It's fantastic. Anyway, I suppose we should start wrapping up at this point. But thank you very much, Daren, for joining me today. It's
no problem. It's a pleasure.
It's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you about trains and planes and all sorts of things, not automobiles. But, obviously the Now, we've done all 3 rounds. We've talked about computers. We've talked about Now CDs and all sorts of different things. And hopefully at some point in the future, it'd be great to have you back on again.
I look forward to it.